Life can be hectic, exhausting and overpowering. It's so easy to get caught up in the doing that you forget to think about what you actually want out of life. So how can you fine-tune your life to live what you actually want? How can you fine-tune the ordinary to live the extraordinary? Well, that's Living Savvy. Hi and welcome to Living Savvy. Well, throughout this series we're going to be asking some really tough questions like what do I believe? Where am I heading? And for many, today's question may be the most important one. What am I creating? As we try to answer these questions, we'll be following the journeys of 4 women, Vicky, Kat, Janine and Jane. They're all very different, but all willing to take the challenge and try to find some answers. To help us answer these questions, we have our Living Savvy coaches, John Raymond and Joe Bassett. Between them, they have several years of coaching experience and both are accredited with the International Coach Federation. Well, exactly what is coaching, John?
Well, coaching in essence is a conversation, and it's mainly using questions to get the coachee or the client to think differently.
This term coaching though, sometimes I think gets a bit of a bad rap. In essence really, it's about trying to keep you on track and achieve your goals, right?
Absolutely, yes it is, and to achieve those more effectively. So that may be getting faster results or more powerful results than what you could get if you were on your own.
Would it be sort of like a fit person still having a personal trainer?
Absolutely, that's a really great analogy.
So that doesn't necessarily mean that something's broken?
Well, in fact, coaching's quite the opposite. It's a developmental process, so it's taking people that are whole and healthy and helping them get better, stronger, more powerful results, whatever it is that they want.
Well, let's meet our first 2 brave women. This is Vicky and Kat. We've asked them some of the tough questions as they start their first life workout.
Vicky Campbell, age 39 at my next birthday. 2 children, Paige is 13, going on 14 mid-year, and Kiara 10. Partner Scott. And he's a little bit younger than me, but not much. Executive Director of Yellow Edge is my current position. I had a part-time job from when I was 11, so that was so inbred that took priority over everything else. Originally in the Air Force, 21 years service in the Air Force mixed with part-time, full-time. I had a very strict sort of upbringing in my family, so I found I was just like, this is freedom. I think I was 18 and jet flew over the base and landed, and the guy came down the ladder and pretty much he said, I'm going to marry you one day, and he did. Decided to have kids and instantly fell pregnant with Paige, and so we had a lot of issues and eventually split. So we split before she was born. So after giving up the full-time Air Force, I transferred to the active reserves. So I'm operationally ready to deploy at any time. This is our webbing. I didn't really date, didn't really know how to. And eventually one of my friends registered me for one of those balls where you get matched with somebody, and that's when I met Mark, my second husband. So computer matched, married. Every relationship that I went into it wholeheartedly, no baggage. Even spoke to both my ex-husbands about my new partner early on, and there you go, he's good for you. Being with Scott, yeah, he's the ultimate partner for me and support. Being in a house, this is a home, this is a family home, and I want to fill it with more kids as well. My name's Kat Matson. I'm 33, I think. Yeah, I forget about how old I am often because I've done a lot in my life. I've been in the personal development industry since 1994, and I was just like, how can that be? I was like, well, it's true. Yes, I did start in the industry when I was 16, but yeah, I've got that many years on me now. I'm married to Keith. He's 22 years older than me, which I think also gives me some of that ambivalence about my age. And I've got 2 little boys, Josh, who's 3.5, and Sam, he's 1. Motherhood has been, and still is, fantastic and extraordinarily challenging. The control freak in me wants the boys to do everything how I want them to do it. And their consistent refusal to not fit in with my agenda still keeps me on my toes. I run my own business with Keith
It's called Alito, and our aim with Alito is about lighting up or being a light for small business owners. The age difference for me has actually never been an issue, except for when we start thinking about the logistics, like the fact that Keith's going to if age or if life expectancies go to form, there's a fair chance that he's going to die 20 years before me. But as I keep saying, I'm not going to forego this part of my life for that possibility.
So Vicky and Kat, so typical of women's lives, full, busy, so much going on.
I think that from what I've just seen, the thing that I want to say first is actually acknowledge them for what they are creating, for the success that they've got. And yes, there's bits that they can tweak, but they've both got very full, very successful lives as a starting place.
So funny though to hear Kat say that she can't control her boys. Wanted to say, he's only one, you've got years of that ahead of you.
I liked it when she was talking about trying to do the both, and I've often thought that I'd like to clone myself so I could have two lives running parallel.
When you see these women though, Jo, do you also get a very strong sense of that, of trying to find that balance of being tugged in one direction and being pulled in another?
Yeah, I do, and that's for me where the fine-tuning comes along, Sophie. I think when you're thinking about what is it that you have and what is it that you want, often to close that gap, it doesn't require major transformation. It requires fine-tuning.
Well, after the break, we're going to talk to Vicky some more and ask her that question. What am I creating? Today on Living Savvy, we're asking ourselves the question, are we living the life we actually want? Vicky doesn't seem to let an opportunity pass her by, but does that mean she hasn't taken time out to pursue her own dreams? Jo, you set her some homework before the first coaching session.
Yes, I did, Sophie. I asked her to create a life map, so from where she is now to where it is that she wants to be.
Well, let's have a look at how she went.
So how did things change for you after you drew that mud map?
The drawing at the end and the picture of what I wanted it to be made me focus on that more. So every time I would do things, I wouldn't worry about how to get there, but I would see whether they were of a benefit to the end goal.
When you've done that mud map and we've looked at your life design, is there anything that's missing?
No, that's the plan.
Okay.
There's other things I've thought about, but that.
Well, humour me. Tell me about some of the other things that you've thought about.
It's actually, my dream is to do something that I would consider as my creative side rather than my business or practical side. And that's, a convertible shoe for women.
Right. So. What I was surprised about was the just how her face lit up, and when she spoke about it, it was like a transformation. And I thought, wow, this is really special for you, and you have it hidden away. When will you know that the time's right to take a different path?
It's a feeling, and it's not just that I feel good. It's when my family, they all think the basics of their mum. It's all good. Have a go. That's
okay.
Yeah, that's just why.
Yeah. And how are they looking at you at the moment?
Exactly like that.
Right.
In fact, probably more so of like, come on, Mum, when are you going to do that thing? Yeah, I thought she may sort of go, okay, well, everyone has dreams, but this is where you're at the moment, and make, success rather than dreaming.
Is the real work getting you to have that same level of belief in yourself?
That it's acceptable to follow it.
Yeah.
Not that it's not believing in it.
Yeah.
That it's believing that it's acceptable for me to spend more of my time and energy on the dream.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that will allow Vicky to be successful is her giving herself permission to take a different road. Okay, so tell me, what are you committing to then?
Committing to fulfilling the dream, finishing it. Yeah. If finishing it is when I get to a point with a business person and they say, look, this idea is not going to float, that's still fine with me.
Okay.
But I can't even get to that point yet. And I didn't also think that she would make me own it so much. I guess I still thought that she would maybe go, oh, well, I can offer you this and this, or here's people who do that for you.
One of the things that I'd like to ask you to do is to write your story about your dream.
Like who for?
Good question. Yeah, who would it be for?
Well, I don't know who's going to read it before I write it. I think Well, I guess if that's what you want me to do, I can write your story.
That's interesting. So you'll write my story. So how can we make that story your story, Vicky?
Originally, the book thing, I just think, wow, okay, write a story. You know, I can write a story if that's what the result is. You need a story, but to get it to explain to me why it would benefit the dream or benefit me made a lot of sense.
So am I hearing that you're willing to take this challenge on, go somewhere that's a bit uncomfortable for you, something that you wouldn't normally do, and to write your story?
Yeah, it feels real, it feels supportive, it feels like, I've shared it with someone, but they're not taking it from me. They're just part of the whole process, so it's nice.
Vicky, well, welcome.
Thanks, Sophie.
How did the story go? Is it a bestseller?
No, not quite finished, I think it is.
Tell us about your dream. What is it that you're hoping to achieve?
Yeah, my dream is about a convertible shoe, so one shoe for all purposes for women travelling around the country.
Why did you set this task for her, Jo? What was the story supposed to bring out?
Well, the story is a really great opportunity for us to connect. You know, often we have this idea, but it's through the storytelling and the sharing that it comes real.
I think the other thing is that in order to share it, it requires a whole new level of courage. And it's that sort of breaking through the fear barrier that just the very act of sharing your dream with someone.
But we've all got dreams. I've got a million dreams. How do you actually now help somebody make that dream a reality?
Well, I guess I'd ask Vicky, in the process of writing your story, what did you learn about yourself?
And I guess I learnt that there's so many other people out there that can support me along the way. I felt like I was on my own.
Yeah, what a great
All
awareness.
these people came into my story.
Yeah. What's the next step for you?
To actually just live it. Yeah, the strength and the courage to, I guess, accept that it's okay to just go and follow your dream. And it's possible.
I think what often holds them back is that their obligations to other people. You know, I have all of these responsibilities and this is what is expected of me. But when we put it out there, people that we love want to be our biggest encouragers, really, and they're the people that you want to live your life with, those people that encourage you.
People have offered me so many opportunities and I don't want to let them down whilst I do something that's about me.
Now don't forget you can follow Vicky's progress on our website as well. There you'll find tips of how you can create your own life map. And coming up we're going to see how Kat does with her first coaching. Welcome back. Living savvy doesn't mean a complete overhaul of your life. It's usually just fine-tuning certain areas. Earlier in the show we met Kat, who runs her own successful business and has a beautiful young family, but she did feel there were areas in her life that she could focus on. So Jo, you spent some time with her and set her some homework to create a vision board.
Yeah, absolutely, Sophie. And the aim was for Kat to step back and really ask herself, what is important to me?
Let's have a look.
So when you look at your vision board, what do you feel?
Right now, I feel really excited about it, and talking about it brings it to life. Yesterday though, when I looked at it, I hadn't had enough sleep. I was walking around feeling quite fragile, anything could tip me over the edge into tears. There were parts of this vision board, in particular the money side of it and the time for me, that I just looked at and went, you're fooling yourself, Kat, It's never going to happen.
It was really useful to have somebody else's insights and also to pick up on the areas where I might let myself down.
When both of us are in the business together, if we're not making money, we're not paying the mortgage. And if we're not paying the mortgage, the boys don't have anywhere to live. And that's kind of the spiralling thought process.
So it's a catch-22 in that hunt for the easy money that you then stop looking after yourself.
Yep.
But when you stop looking after yourself, making the money doesn't come so easy.
Absolutely, and particularly doing what I do, I can't keep giving out and helping clients achieve what they want to achieve when I'm a fragile eggshell of a mess,
I think Kat is like a lot of women in business, that it's really important for her to keep this persona up, and what gets forgotten is the amount of hard work and effort that goes into that. In your job you do need to look like you got it together.
But honestly, I feel like I'm the duck, gliding along looking, cruisy as, but my feet are going.
and my feet go even faster, and my head goes even faster, you know. So I might be looking like I'm cool, calm and collected and got it all under control, but my head is screaming, going, well, what are you going to do next?
Yeah. How do you find a way out of this mess that you found yourself in?
Out of that pattern.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's why I really want to be doing more meditating, because that's where I do find relief and clarity.
What I'm hearing, and you can disagree with me, is that where the fine-tuning needs to start is with this keeping the commitments to keep yourself well-resourced.
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay. So I'm wondering what it is that you're going to commit to.
I don't want it to become just another shopping list of goals, because I've done it in the past and it starts to lose its meaning. I think instead what I'll commit to is really looking after myself.
I really believe that if you don't value yourself, then nobody else is going to value you. So you really need to lead by example. And the first thing that I really hope that Kat does is to keep those commitments and to show the world how much she values herself. How will you stay focused on that and it not get lost in the fullness of your day?
I think what I will do is, when I do my planning at the beginning of every week, that I will schedule in something for every single day.
Right. I was thinking of setting you a challenge where for the next week you don't move any appointments for yourself.
Okay, I'll take it on.
It's a hard habit to get into about keeping those commitments.
Yeah, it is, and I let myself. Well, it's not letting myself off the hook, but I let other things become more important. I'm quite excited about setting those appointments with myself to really nurture myself and energise myself, because that's the area that I let myself down in all of the time. So yeah, quite excited about that prospect of actually having a week where I actually really do look after me.
Well, Kat, welcome. I'm interested to know whether or not you've actually followed through and you've made time for yourself. But first, John, would you give us your impressions of the vision board and that task?
Yeah, I've got to say your vision board was beautiful. It was like absolutely stunning. And from my perspective, when I first saw it, I thought, oh my God, there is so much on that vision board. It's like, how does this woman do it? Like, my first sense is there too much in your life? And so, like, if you had to maybe narrow it down to, like, what are the 3 most important things on that vision board, what would you choose?
Family, business, friends.
Often it's not a matter of putting more things in our world, it's actually reducing and simplifying and taking some out.
Yeah, I hear you, but geez, I find that challenging, because I don't want to let go of any of those components of my life. I don't want to let go of those ideals.
And interestingly, your task was time for yourself, and you didn't mention that in that list. So Jo, is that why it's really important for someone like Kat to be told, take time out for you and make it happen as homework?
Yeah, absolutely. And I heard this great analogy around, fitting your own oxygen mask first, because if you're not well resourced, then how do you sustain or take responsibility for the needs of the others that rely on you?
So Kat, was it difficult for you then to stay on task and to commit to having time for you every day?
It was difficult insofar as the logistics of it. When the clock ticked over 3:30, I had to say, that's it, it's time for me to get up, get changed, because I'm going to the gym. There was a voice in my head going, oh, just another 5 minutes, just another 5 minutes. I'm like, I can't, because if it's another 5 minutes, it will become another 10 minutes. And then I'll actually hit that point of, I won't even bother.
What's changed for you?
I've eased up on myself a lot. My life works better. I generate energy to do everything else from those activities. So yeah, things are clearer for me. Things are easier to handle.
And after the break, we'll meet Karen, who knew from a very young age exactly what she wanted in life and has set about to achieve it. Welcome back. Today on Living Savvy, we've asked the question, what am I creating? And there's simply no right or wrong answer, it's just whatever makes you happy. Next up, we'll meet Karen, who asked herself that question and then made it happen.
My name's Karen. I'm 27 years old. I'm married to Charles and have been married for 7 years. I have a son named Harrison who's 5 and a son Riley who's 2. Well, I met my husband when I was 19 and we fell in love almost instantly, which sounds like a fairy tale, but it truly was. And we just knew we wanted to spend the rest of our lives with each other. Well, I've wanted to be a police officer since as long as I can remember, at least 10 years old. And when we got married, I think I was too young at the time, and it also would have been a bit harder to get into at 20. And that's why we decided to have children when we did, because I thought my career is still a good few years away. I had Harrison in Wodonga. We didn't have many friends there, we had no family there. I had him 6 weeks early and he was an emergency Caesar because he'd stopped growing. Charles was on a course where he couldn't take time off, so you know, I was in this hospital with this little preemie baby. I certainly didn't have the birth of my choice, and so I was just determined to be the best mum that I could be. I never imagined that, and I'm going to get teary now, I never imagined that I could have it all, and I always wanted it all, but I think in the back of my head when I had children I thought, I still want to be a police officer, but I don't know if that will happen. And it did, and it's just the most incredible feeling to know that I've got a wonderful family, a gorgeous husband, and this fantastic career that is just something different every day. There's no perfect time for anything, and I think that if you don't try it, you're going to regret it. And I wasn't going to regret not trying to be a mum and not trying to be a police officer.
Well, welcome, Officer Karen. John, it's very courageous for somebody to make these big life-changing decisions, isn't it?
I think the thing that I was really impressed with in the piece we've just seen there is that a lot of people would see it as, oh my God, this woman's, you know, she's only 27 and she's got everything. I mean, has it really been that easy, just sort of getting what you've got?
No, not easy at all, but something that I set out to achieve and did.
I can imagine for as many people who were in your life encouraging you, there must have been a few that were discouraging you.
Yes, and there probably still is, but I'm living my life for my family, and it's their opinions that count. So my husband and my children, and I go to work for them every day and come home for them.
It must be very difficult, particularly for women sometimes, Jo, to make these choices.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that when I've spoken to Karen, when she's made her choices, she's very aware of what the responsibilities are that go along with those.
There is a lot of thought that goes into it, and especially when I came from being a full-time mum to going to be a full-time police officer and having 2 young children, to have to put them into full-time daycare after having them at home with me was a huge choice, and it's not something that I ever took lightly. And it works for us at the moment, and until it doesn't work for us, I'll continue doing it.
So really, to sum up some of those key points that we've talked about today, when we talk about living savvy, what would you say some of those are?
Yeah, well, living savvy is around it's about living your life with understanding and awareness. So understanding what's important to you, celebrating what it is that you have, and also recognising what it is that you need, you know, what's missing.
Do you feel like you've done that now, Karen? You've turned what, you know, was a fabulous life into an extraordinary life for yourself?
I do, yeah. I sit back and look at it sometimes and can't quite believe that I've managed to do it, really.
Next time on Living Savvy, we're going to be asking the question, how do I show up? Jane and Janine will be the brave ones to question their personal branding. So let's meet the girls.
Jane Hunter. Age, I'm not going to put it in an absolute number. I'd say late 30s. Relationship, single. Divorced. I've been in the cosmetic industry for over 14 years, which involves me injecting certain things into their faces. I definitely think I've matured. I've had to, you know, because when you're working for yourself, you are the one that makes the decisions. All of a sudden, it was going to be my business, and could I really make it in an industry that is extremely competitive? I know that some people see me as being, you know, extremely confident. Some people, I have been accused of that dreadful word, arrogant. But, you know, it's not always what it seems. I lost, 30 or 40 kilos. I could hold myself. When you know really good fat jokes, if you can be seen to be taking the mickey out of yourself, then most people don't take the mickey out of you. I've been separated 5 years, divorced 2. It still is something that is a little bit difficult to talk about because I'll always, love him, and we've got a lot of memories. In my ideal world, I'd like to think that I would meet someone, possibly have a child, but it's not everything for me. I'm not prepared to to just take what's out there.
My name's Janine Bald, I'm 29. I live with my partner Garth. Currently working as a nail technician beauty therapist at Polished Nails and Beauty, which is a salon that we own in Newstead. Garth and I think we're probably together almost 24/7. And people ask us, how do you do that? And I was even curious myself as to how it was going to work, but we love it.
It's just really one of my best friends. I really enjoy hanging out with her. I miss her when she's not around, just because we actually get each other so well. So there's a communication that happens without talking to each other, which makes it really comfortable too.
Yeah, I guess the next goal is for me to be able to train up enough people so that I can step out and off the tools for a while, so I can come and go and know that the business is going to function fine without me.
My number one interest with the salon is to get Janine pulled out of it a little bit more, because she works so hard. I mean, Polished is really her at the moment. Without her, it doesn't work, and I'd like to give her a bit more time so that she can, that's that whole cliche, work on the business rather than in it.
You give so much. You're kind of constantly emptying your bucket. You have to learn to keep some for yourself, I think. And two, I think when it's a new business and your own business, you want everyone to be so happy, and that you give sometimes almost a bit too much, maybe. Yeah.
Make sure you join us next time to follow the journeys of Vicky, Kat, Janine and Jane as they continue to live savvy.
Thanks, Jo. Thanks, John. Of course, this is just the tip of the iceberg, so I look forward to catching up with you again next week. If you'd like some more information about what we've been talking about today, visit the website. You'll see all the ladies' stories as well as tips and tools. Until then, keep living savvy.